Hello guys, and welcome to my channel for my third official video. I know, it seems so weird, like, it feels like yesterday I was like, why don't I start a YouTube channel and do true crime, like, that would be super cool. So, honestly, it's been really cool that a couple of you guys have actually decided to subscribe to me and have really liked the content that I've been making. It's really been an unreal experience to hear some of the feedback that you guys have had from me, so thank you so much, and I'm constantly trying to improve my content. You know it would not be a Dante video if I did not plug my new Tumblr. So this is a Christmas one that my mom found in the attic, and she was like, you should have it, and I was like, yes. So it says, let it snow, and saving the environment has never tasted better. So I honestly really love these, and I try to use these as much as I can instead of plastic and, you know, disposable products. So as mentioned in my last video, I wanted to start choosing cases that actually really impacted me, and when I researched them, they were super, you know, close to home. And so that is why I chose the case of Amanda Todd. Now, this is probably going to be my most well-known case that I will ever cover, I think, period, because it is just so horrific what happened to this young girl, and I think it's such an important story to tell. And although, you know, there has been so much media on this, I wanted to kind of bring this case to a younger audience, because I feel like my audience is kind of, I guess they probably do know about this case, but I don't know, I mean, I'm younger, and I know that a lot of my friends did not know who Amanda Todd was when I told them about her. And so I wanted to use my platform, which is very small, but, you know, it's still a platform. I wanted to talk about a case that I felt deserved to be heard, and a message that was necessary for people to hear. So today I'm going to be focusing on the case of Amanda Todd. Now, I'm going to put a trigger warning up right now. This case is very dark. I was reading about it, and it is honestly one of the saddest cases I've ever read. And not the sense that, yes, it's not graphic, it's not completely gory or bloody or whatever, but the way that she was treated by humanity is so disturbing to hear about. So I kind of, you know, think it's just an important case in that way to talk about how people just truly can have an impact, even though, you know, with just their words. And that's kind of why I wanted to focus on this case. So I'm gonna start by obviously explaining who Amanda Todd was, and we'll start from there. Also, sorry guys, I don't know if it's the cold. I live in the Northeast, so it's like been very, very cold recently. My throat has been killing me, so if I just keep stopping or clearing my throat, I'm very sorry for that. Hopefully it doesn't impact the video, but if it does, I'm apologizing right now. So, who was Amanda Todd? Amanda Todd was born November 27th of 1996 in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And her mother, Carol, has described her as someone who was a very caring individual, and she would help others who needed her help. The mother also said that one of Amanda's goals was to get her message out there and have it be used as a learning tool for others. People that knew Amanda described her as such a nice girl, especially her family members who she was super close with, and she does say that the mother says that she was very close to Amanda when they were younger, and so she just says that Amanda was just this really nice person who loved to give back to other people and saw the best in other people. It's just so awful that people couldn't reciprocate that to her. She treated people with such kindness, and for them to, you know, return the favor by being awful towards her is just disgusting. So Amanda, like a lot of people today, also struggle with mental health, and that was no different for Amanda. Amanda said in her video that we'll talk about a little later that she struggled with anxiety and depression, and this was only exacerbated by the bullying and cyberbullying she went by her peers at school. So obviously the bullying and cyberbullying that Amanda had endured at school was awful, and the reason why it was so detrimental, especially to her, is because of the cyberbullying. Because while bullying is awful, and I'm not, you know, trying to sugarcoat it or anything, it's terrible, cyberbullying has another layer because it can follow you home in a place that you feel safe. You could still be targeted while on your computer, and that is sadly what happened to Amanda. So after enduring a lot of cyberbullying in, you know, her teen years from 7th grade on to about 10th grade, Amanda had made a video detailing her story of abuse, and she titled it, My Story, Struggling, Bullying, Suicide, Self-Harm. And this is kind of what Amanda was known for, was this video being produced, and sadly after she made this video she did end up taking her own life. So we're just gonna continue from there. She was only 15 at the time of her death. Let's start with the actual case now. In 7th grade, the 2009 to 2010 era for her, because she was born in 1996, in this time in her life, in 7th grade, Amanda said that she would video chat strangers on the internet with her friend, which is not uncommon from what people are doing nowadays. I mean, I know personally I've used sites like Omegle, Chat Roulette. I don't encourage people to go on this website. Obviously, with this case, it's super important to know that things like this really do happen. But Amanda said that she would go on these websites with her friends. You know, it was just fun to meet new people, talk to people that, you know, were from all over the world. And she said that something that she really enjoyed was getting compliments from these people, which, I mean, all of us like that. You know, compliments feel amazing, and so if you could go on the internet and get endless compliments, why wouldn't you? In her video that she released, she said that people had called her beautiful, stunning, and perfect. So obviously she loved getting these compliments. It probably gave her such a rush of joy and just feeling so content with oneself, because she just felt like, you know, I was finally accepted for who I was. Now, a lot of people that haven't been on these websites might not know that there's a very sexual component to these as well. A lot of predators do use these websites to try to get kids to do things for them. So a couple times Amanda had encountered people who wanted her to do things for them, and one of the things that they wanted her to do was flash them. Now, Amanda was completely against this. You know, she was only a 7th grader. That's 12 years old. She did not want to do this. She was a child. She says after a year of, you know, the first going on, she did end up flashing one guy because he had just been very convincing to do it, and, you know, probably said, oh, you're safe, I won't send this anywhere, you can trust me. And so what she didn't know is that while he was watching her flash him, he had taken a picture on his computer of her, and I'm assuming her face was in it along with her area. Now, obviously she didn't think much of this, you know, she probably didn't feel great doing it, but I'm sure he gave her compliments and made it seem like it was a good move. And so the next day, Amanda had received a Facebook message from this man, and this man said that he had her address, family names, friends' names, school, and basically everything that he could know about her. And he said if she didn't put on a show for him, that he would send these photos that he had taken of her without a shirt on to all of her friends, her school, her parents, everyone. He wanted to make her suffer. And so I believe she did end up sending him more videos and pictures, which only gave him more ammunition to use against her. But it's sad that she felt like she was placed in a situation where she didn't know what to do, and it must have been so scary going through this alone. I literally can't imagine. So on Christmas of all times in 2010, police had come to her home at 4 a.m. and told her that her pictures were circulating around the school, and that parents of her friends had contacted the police letting them know what was happening. So after, you know, the police had informed her, she said that her anxiety, depression, and all of her mental health issues just completely began to spiral out of control as she felt like she had no power in her life. She spoke about this in her video. She said that she also developed a panic disorder, all caused by her sexual exploitation on the internet. Her family then thought it might be a good idea because, you know, this town had seen very indecent picture of their daughter that they felt that it was time to leave. And so they decided to move to a different town. And when they moved away, Amanda said this is when her alcohol and drug addiction began, as she probably was using these substances to try and numb her reality. And it's just so awful that someone so young and so innocent had to turn to things like this to not feel any emotion because it was just too painful. So everything was okay for the first year, except at the year mark, or around the year mark, the blackmailer, who had never been caught up until this point, decided to make some new accounts and continue to harass her. So he made more Facebook accounts, and he used her topless photo as the profile picture, and he friended a bunch of people that went to her school. And a quote from the mom that had come out, I think, within the last year, because they had done a documentary on the Amanda Todd case, the mom had said, every time she moved schools, he would go undercover and become a Facebook friend. What the guy did was he went online to the kid and went to the new school and said that he was going to be a new student, that he was starting the following week, and that he wanted some friends, and asked if these people would be his friend on Facebook. He eventually would gather people's names, and he would send Amanda's video that she had put the show on for him around to the school. Obviously, you know, people were not sympathetic to her, and I shouldn't say obviously as if like, oh, that's expected, but people weren't sympathetic to Amanda. And instead of trying to comfort her during this hard time for herself, you know, I'm sure it's not easy going through having your indecent pictures leaked all over the internet. People were mean to her and ruthless towards her, and people then began to bully her now that they had seen these pictures of her. She says that it got so bad that she had to start sitting alone at lunch because no one wanted to be around her. And so again, the family decided it might be a good idea to move. It had kind of worked the first time, and you know, I think Amanda just needed another fresh start to escape the bullying at the school that she had just moved to. So they did end up switching schools again, and Amanda said that although she was still alone, meaning she would still eat alone in the cafeteria and, you know, not have people that I guess she was friends with, she said it was much better just that she was left alone, which is so awful that she had to not be able to make friends but just that being alone and not being targeted was the only peace that she could find. It's just truly sad that, you know, she had to suffer through all of this before she passed away. So about a month after she had gone to the new school, this old guy friend of her that she, you know, had a crush on back a couple, you know, years ago at one of her old schools, had started talking to her again. And she was, you know, super excited, you know, to have a guy interested in her. It seemed like it would be, you know, things were turning around for her, and maybe things weren't as bad as they had seemed at once. So while the guy's girlfriend was away on holiday, he had asked Amanda to hang out with him, and she obviously said yes. And when she had gone over to his house, he asked her to hook up, and she, you know, had a thing for him. She was like, absolutely, I would love to. And so they did end up having sex. However, the boy was not very careful about this, and somehow his girlfriend had found out. And so she texted Amanda, "Get out of our school." And later that day, the girlfriend had brought over 15 of her friends, and all of them had surrounded Amanda. They all started yelling nasty insults at her, and one thing that she talked about in her video is how somebody yelled, "No one likes you." This girl had decided to confront Amanda in front of basically everyone at her school, or at least a good portion, as there were about 50 kids. Amanda said, "We're just watching this whole altercation occur." Eventually someone yelled, "Punch her." And so the girlfriend did. She punched Amanda and kept punching her and kicking her until she was laying down in a ditch, and that's when they finally decided to leave. After the attack, the teachers tried to console her and make her feel better, but she just laid there in that ditch alone until her father came and picked her up. That night, she was in a really dark spot, and she decided that she didn't want to live anymore, and she tried to drink bleach to end her life. And she says that the bleach did kill her on the inside, and she felt so awful and disgusted until her parents had found out that she had done this and called the police, and the ambulance had come, and thankfully they were able to save her by pumping her stomach. When she was finally released from the hospital, she had logged onto her Facebook, as I know we all do. She was I believe she was about 14, 15 when this was happening, so, you know, she was at that age where you care about social media and you care what other people think, and so she had logged on to see what people were saying, and she had seen a lot of mean, abusive, and joking comments about her suicide attempt because I guess everyone had found out. Some of the comments that she remembers said, "She deserved it," "Did you wash the mud out of your hair?" and "I hope she's dead." In March of 2012, her family decided that they had to move again as the bullying continued to get worse, and it just was too much for her to handle, and so they thought maybe if we leave again, hopefully this horrible nightmare won't follow us again. However, it did. People from her old school kept posting pictures of bleach and ditches, tagging Amanda, and said, "I hope she tries it again. I hope she sees this and kills herself." I literally can't think of any reason why anyone in their right mind would ever send that message to anybody, period, let alone a suicide survivor. How cruel and awful do you have to be to think that any of this is okay? I literally just can't get over it. And that's why I think this case matters so much. It's just because the horrible abuse that she endured during the last couple years of her life, and just really no one stepped in, the teachers, other students, everyone just watched it happen. And it just shows you how awful people can really be. About 6 months after she had moved again, these messages were still being sent all over social media, and Amanda says in her video this is when she decided to start self-harming and hurting herself. So she says that she started therapy at this time, and she was even on antidepressants, except she tried to overdose herself again and was hospitalized, so thankfully she did live again, but she was not really getting better. People at school continued to pick on her for her learning disability, which I believe she had. I don't know specifically what it was, but it was just a learning disability of sorts. And the grades that she, you know, received were obviously bad because she was struggling in school with her learning disability, and people also targeted her for that. People also made her a target because of her mental health issues with depression and anxiety, so it just seems like literally anything that made her different was just putting a target right on top of her. So the mom, in a quote, had said, "It didn't really help that she got out of the hospital recently. Some kids started calling her psycho and saying she'd been in the crazy hospital. She went to the hospital, she had therapy, she had counseling. She was on a good track. On the day she gets out, that happens. I shake my head and think, are kids really that nasty? Do they really not think, what if this was them?" So after school had, you know, she had gone through, I believe it was her 9th grade year of school. You know, she was continually bullied there. Over the summer, she was just kind of living her life, and right at the beginning of her 10th grade year, of school, she decided to release her video on September 7th of 2012, which is the most well-known part of this case, called My Story, Struggling, Bullying, Suicide, Self-Harm, where at the end she begs someone to help her and just notice her. And she says, in quotes, "I have nobody. I need someone." So obviously this is, we took a little break from describing the case. This is the most well-known aspect of the case because a lot of people have seen this video. You may have seen it, it's black and white. She basically holds up note cards explaining everything that happened to her, the moment she decided to flash that man on whatever website it was, up until right now where she is, and just all of the mess that was in her life at that time. The video at first didn't get much attention because I think, the YouTube algorithm is just like give you millions and millions of views, and so no one really knew, I guess, of the video. I'm sure a couple people had probably seen it. And so on October 10th of 2012 at 6 p.m., Amanda was found hanging in her room. So after her death, the British Columbia Coroner Service released that her death had been a suicide. People had found out about the video that she had made, and people started to watch it, and that's when it started to get all the views and attention that it had gotten. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police and British Columbia Coroner Service had also put 20 investigators on this case as they wanted to find the man who had been relentlessly tracking and stalking and harassing Amanda and essentially ruined her life. So while investigating the case, the investigators that were put on the case had actually found out that a tip had been sent into cybertip.ca, which I guess is the Canadian cyber tip agency that, their basic goal is to stop any sort of illegal activity going on the internet, and so something that they do focus on is the exploitation of children on the internet. And so someone had sent in a tip saying that they had seen this girl, her pictures were going all over the internet, and they wanted to know if they could do anything, the government, to get rid of these pictures. However, because she was not being abused or physically abused in these pictures, they said that it didn't take precedent, and that, basically her case didn't matter because she wasn't being abused in that moment, although she was suffering years and years of mental abuse because of this picture. Facebook had also decided that they needed to launch an investigation to find the identity of this man because his crimes were so heinous that they wanted to know who was doing this. And so Facebook had decided to send spyware to one of this guy's accounts, and I guess he opened it, and basically what spyware does is it allows them to see his computer, and I think they gained access to his computer, and they sent all of this information over to the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Center, which then sent it to the Dutch authorities as they figured out the identity of this man. And so in January of 2014, a man that was 35 years old was then arrested, and his name was Aiden Coben, and he was the one who had done this to Amanda. On his computer, they had found tons of logs of extortion from previous chats that he had, so there were more victims, just like Amanda, who he was trying to extort videos and pictures from. They had also found a lot of indecent images of minors on his computer, and about 5,800 names of specific people that could be his potential victims. So there were probably more people like Amanda out there. It's just crazy to think that this man could have potentially ruined 6,000 children's lives. I mean, these were just kids. So Coben was then charged with extortion, internet luring, and criminal harassment. His case went to trial in February of 2017. Just 5 years after Amanda's death, he was then sent to trial. And in March 16th of 2017, he had been charged with 72 charges of sexual assault and extortion in the Netherlands, and this had involved about 39 total victims. So the Canadian government to this day is still trying to extradite him because they want him to serve out his sentence where Amanda lived, and I don't know why they're kind of running into roadblocks. For some reason the Netherlands government is keeping him. Obviously he's still in jail there, but they aren't sending him over for some reason, which is kind of confusing, but I'm sure eventually he'll get sent over. So after Amanda's death, a lot of candlelight vigils were held just to raise awareness about bullying and cyberbullying and its effects on mental health, which is something that Amanda had struggled with, and, the bullying and cyberbullying had only exacerbated this issue for her. So a lot of celebrities such as Magic Johnson, who's a basketball player, Demi Lovato, a bullying activist, or anti-bullying activist, and the group Anonymous, which is known for vigilante justice kind of organization, had talked about her case, and the group Anonymous actually did release a video on it, which I might be able to play right here, just so you guys can see it. It's kind of scary to me, I don't really know, but here's the video if I can play it, or at least the clips from it. Hey guys, so I just wanted to include this little clip to show you what the video actually looked like. So this was actually from the group Anonymous, and basically in this they talk about the Amanda Todd case, and they basically just say what happened to her was horrendous, and they actually did name a person that they believe to be the person who had released the videos and pictures of Amanda and had been like her cyber stalker. However, the police actually did clear this man, and they found out that they were completely wrong with their information. So that's why I didn't want to, post the actual video to drag his name through the mud anymore, because it was not true, and also I didn't want to get copyright striked. So yeah, but this is the video. And so basically one of the things that Amanda Todd's mother, Carol, had decided to do is she wanted to make a trust called the Amanda Todd Trust to raise money and raise awareness to stop bullying and cyberbullying. It's just an amazing initiative, and I think it's something that Amanda would have really appreciated and, benefited from if she was still here. So they have a website called the Amanda Todd Legacy Society, which basically, there's a lot, I'll just show you, just put it right here. There's a lot of information on what happened to her and how to get help, and it's really nice that they were able to take something so negative, such as this young girl's death, and hopefully make something kind of positive out of it. Obviously, this girl will never be with her family again. Obviously, this girl will never, be with her family and get to enjoy the life that she deserved to have. It's still nice that her legacy and memory will still live on and hopefully help other young girls struggling with the same issues as her. So yeah, guys, that is the case of Amanda Todd, and I hope that you guys are able to learn something from this case. I think this is probably one of the most important cases I will cover, as there is a message to be learned, and it's just to be kind to everyone. No one deserves to go through what Amanda had gone through. I mean, she was relentlessly bullied for what? For having mental health problems. We all have our own issues. It's just horrendous that people decided, oh, she's too different, oh, she's depressed, oh, we can't be around her, oh, she has anxiety. These are issues that so many people have, and it's just so horrendous that people just let this cloud their vision and, are just mean to her just for these reasons. So I think it's definitely important that we remember that kindness goes a long way, and that even just smiling at people is just a way to kind of spread that positivity and happiness. So yeah, guys, that is the case. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it, as this case is purely to spread awareness of her and, what she went through. I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, just a little quick announcement. I don't know if my next video is going to be true crime. It might be, it might not be. I'm kind of working on a deep dive sort of video where I'm going to talk about a specific influencer in this world that, girl, she got a lot to be talked about, and so I want to, do a little 40-minute video kind of analyzing her as a person. So maybe it'll be that, maybe it won't be, I'm not really sure, but we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you again for watching, and bye!